Thanks for joining me today on Ollie Talks Airsoft. Today we are going to be talking about something that I couldn't find anywhere on YouTube. I'm sure someone's immediately going to link me to a video down below. But what we're talking about today is snipping your rocket valve spring in order to reduce your FPS. So basically, if you're running a gas gun or an HPA gun, there's a chance that you're going to be running into Joule Creep. If you try and use heavier ammo, it's going to push you over the sight limit, and you're it's either cheating because you're using an overpowered gun, or that's it, you're cheating. It's not fair. So what you should always be doing is, to account for Joule Creep, you should always be getting the weight of ammo that you're going to be using on your gun, and that's what you should be testing your FPS on. So this is actually a gun that my friend dropped off to me yesterday, and basically it's running a little bit hot, and so he recently went to a site and wasn't able to use it because it's shooting a little bit too hot. So he's dropped it off to me, and I've basically said that, yeah, no worries, I'm going to go in and I'm going to trim the rocket valve spring, which is something I haven't done before, and I'm going to nerf his gun. I'm going to reduce the power on it. So he's told me that he's going to be running 0.28 gram BBs, so that's what I'm going to be running through the chrono today. And just to let you know, I've actually already filmed the bit coming up, so just a quick teaser, it works. I've done it. I know exactly how much you need to cut off the spring in order to reduce your FPS. So I had to go in a few times. You can see by the last time I'm a little bit annoyed, but you know what? The results, yeah, they're exactly what I was looking for. And it's exactly what my friend was looking for. So it means that from having a gun that he absolutely loved, it was perfectly fine until he dropped in a Maple Leaf Crazy Jet barrel, and that's just upped his FPS way too much. And so the next time he went out to use it, he was like, okay, actually it's not going to be usable, which is a big disappointment for him. But he's not the only person this has happened to. It's happened to me before. My go-to is always having a can of 144A gas, so that, like I said in my last video, you can mag dump and you can swap all your gas and just use 144 for the day. But I've even had times where that didn't work. So, it's basically at that point you're on your backup gun. And that's such a disappointment. And having looked online, I couldn't find anyone basically just telling me how much to trim, how much to do. So while I was preparing some of my spares and getting them all actually in the same place at the same time, I found out that I've actually got 3 spare rocket valve springs. So it seemed to me that I'm in a really good position to help the community now and go in and do some testing and start, cutting bit by bit off the coils and find out how much it is and how hard it is to do and if the results are even stable. So yeah, it turns out that I'm actually really pleased with the results. I think the results kind of speak for themselves. So make sure you stay tuned to the end of this video. If you're interested in why you get Joule Creep, and also the difference between an MWS and an AKM in terms of Joule creeping, then I actually did some footage the other day, and I watched it back, and it was so boring that I'm not going to bother showing any of it to you. But I tested an MWS, not a stock one. I'm actually borrowing a stock one off a friend, and that video footage I will bring you. But I used an MWS, and I used an AKM, and I also used a VSR as a control. And I found that the MWS Joule creeped more than the AKM, and I suspect it's to do with the barrel length. The fact that this has got a 200mm barrel, and this one here has got a 250mm in a barrel. I think that's actually making all the difference, and it's because unlike with a system like a VSR where you've got a fixed volume of air that is being pushed out behind the BB, with guns like this and HPA, it's an expanding gas, and the gas will keep expanding until it neutralizes with the air pressure around it, which means that the BB is being accelerated down the barrel So a longer barrel means more time for acceleration, especially for those heavier BBs. I think that's why we're seeing a little bit more Joule Creep with the MWS than we are with the new AKM. But it's all theory, and you know, so far my preliminary tests on the MWS system that isn't stock show that yeah, it does Joule Creep a little bit more, and the AKM is a little bit more friendly for that. But I reckon as soon as you start dropping longer barrels in, it will be exactly the same, and you'll have the same problems. And that, if you've ever had that kind of problem, watch this video. This is actually for you. It's really simple, and it was literally just done with, I did it with a little Dremel tool, not even a real one. So simple to do, but it will mean that you can take your gas gun out and you can use it on any site. You can always make sure that you're site legal. You can always make sure that your joules are on point. And for the UK, that's a 1.13. It's going to be what you need to be below. So I managed to get this gun shooting from almost 1.2 down to about 1.1 joules. So it's going to be site legal everywhere, even on a warm day. So yeah, guys, I am actually kind of proud to be bringing you this video, but you'll see that I'm pretty nervous throughout. Anyway, enjoy the next bit, it's fun. So I've got some .28s in the mag, green gas. Let's see what we're getting. So I've actually got the chrono here set to .28s as well. So we're aiming for 295 feet per second, which should be 1.13 joules. At the moment, this is a completely stock bolt. Nothing has been changed on it from the factory. Okay, so that's 1.3. So that's 317 FPS. 310, 309, 313, 306, 305, 302, 307, 304, 301. You need to sort your bolt lock out, Tom. Okay, so right, gun is clear. So yeah, a little bit hot. Not very hot. Not really. It's kind of like we're aiming for 1.13 and we're getting like 1.18, 1.2. Obviously the first shot was the strongest at 317, and the weakest was the last shot at 301.8. Still too high. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to snip the rocket valve spring inside the bolt. I've not actually done this before. I know like the theory behind it. I know what to do. I've taken the bolts apart many times before, so that won't be very difficult. But I've never snipped a spring. So I'm going to go. I'm going to get my tools ready. I'm going to clear my desk a little bit because it is actually a bit of a state. And let's make this happen. Okay, so here I've got a stock TM bolt. This kind of wear, by the way, everyone always asks, like, this is completely normal. That kind of wear, yeah, completely normal. Mine's basically all smashed off now. So the way that you take this apart is there are two screws in the top, so you just take these out. Wow, it's weird taking apart one that's never actually been taken apart before. I'm gonna have to resist the urge to clean it, I think. So, right. So when you do that, there is a little spring in here, so when you pull it up, just be a little bit wary of that. I usually just pick it up and just tip it out. There you go. And then if you pull the nozzle forward, you can, and this bit up slightly, this, then this will just slip off. In the back here, there's a piece that will just pull up, and the whole nozzle just slides out as easy as that. We're nice and user serviceable. The next thing you want to do is take this rubber off the back here. So let me see if I can get in. Yep, got just enough of a nail. So that is off. Now it should have an O-ring on the back of here, but I'm guessing, yeah, it's actually still inside there. So I'm just going to leave that. That's not really a problem. The next one is another Phillips head that we're going to take off there. So what I usually do here is when I hold it, I've actually got my little finger just on the end of here, just so that it keeps a little bit of pressure on the whole system. Okay, so when that's out, that should just pull out. Okay, and these are basically the components, and if I do this, you will see, give that a little tap, and hopefully they'll just stand up for you. So you can see the rocket valve, and attached to the rocket valve is the rocket valve spring. And this is the part that we're going to be cutting. So it's this spring on here. So basically what happens is when gas goes up through here, this is orientated this way around, the gas actually goes up and it gets directed forwards until it hits the BB and starts causing pressure, at which point it closes the valve and all the gas goes backwards and starts filling up this. Or at least that's how I understand it to be. You don't really need to know how it works to enjoy it. So, as I said, I've not actually cut one of these before. So I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit nervous as to exactly how much material I should be taking off. I think I'm just going to try and basically keep it the same length, but just remove this folded top coil. So basically just try and remove exactly one, because we're only trying to drop this by a very small FPS. It's not really a big difference that we're trying to create here. So again, I think the best way to do this is, I don't actually have any wire cutters, or do I? Allow me to go and look. So I couldn't find any snippers, but I have found my not very good fake Dremel. So I'm actually going to give it a go with that. Try and do it a little bit away from the other parts, and do it very, very gently. And there we go. We have removed exactly one coil, which has disappeared. Here it is, it's attached on here. So off right. That is what I've removed. So I'm kind of nervous now, to be perfectly honest with you. I've never seen anyone do this online or do this live, so let's let's pop it all back together and see what kind of results we get out of this. So I'm going to put this on here because it fits on. So I'll put this on first. I will slide it down. I seem to remember there is actually an orientation for this to go, but you can usually tell when it's in. There we go. Tap it down. And what I usually do is just look through the hole, just here, so I know roughly how the rocket valve should look. It's actually not long enough. How annoying. Let's put this in. Okay. That is that appears to be working. So what we'll do is now we'll push this in and make sure that we can see all the way through before we slide this in, and then tighten it down. So before we find out what the results are going to be on this, I just want to say, like, personally, like, I know 295 would basically have it at the limit, but I would prefer if it was nearer like 285 or 290. That would probably make me the happiest. That way there's an allowance for if we've got a hot day or something like that. We do get them every so often in the UK. So there you go. That's all good. Or it certainly appears to be all good. I didn't actually check whether the rubber at the back there was sealed correctly. I probably should have just knocked it out and put it on the usual part, but I didn't for whatever reason. I was making a bit of a meal of that. This is probably the hardest part, or the bit that I find the most annoying, actually, getting this spring here back in, because I tend to have to almost tilt it up until you get... There we go. You just manage to capture it and press it down and it will hold in. There we go. That's why it felt weird. I'm not going to edit that out either. You can. Yeah, the rubber O-ring is still on there as well. That's fine. Okay. Right, let's have another little check. Right, no, there are no other parts. That was the only thing that I forgot. Yeah, that's a bit more like it. And now, when I accidentally let go of this, it will matter, because it will pop out. Ah, yes, amazing. Okay. That's what that's what usually happens. You just kind of miss it. More haste, less speed. There we go. Got it. Okay. So I know that the one on the back here tends to be the screw that gets scratched up. So that's that one. This one here. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little bit nervous about this. Yeah, I really hope this works, seeing as it's not my gun that I'm playing with here. This is someone else's gun. I do have 3 spare rocket valve springs in my spares box, so that I know that I can just like immediately put this back to stock if I've just suddenly destroyed his gun. But you know what? I don't see any reason that I would have. So everything looks good. Yeah. Next part. So I've re-topped up the mag with green gas because I want to be as harsh and as fair as possible. I've got some .28s in here. Have I just broken my friend's gun? It's going to be like 150 FPS or something. So the maximum is 295. I'm almost willing to discount a first shot, but ideally like 280 kind of thing is what I want. Never done this before. $297, $299, $298, $295. That's what that is. That's it. But it's taken 5 shots to get there. $291, $288, $290, $288, $284. Sort your bolt catch, Tom. Right, gun safe. Well, it worked. I guess I'm going to have to speak to the person whose gun it is and say, is he happy with that or not? I'd say not. It's still a bit too high. I know it's sort of coming down, but really it shouldn't be exceeding that 1.13. Let me just go back and see what the highest. So the first shot I think came in at a 301 actually, which you probably saw by my face was round 1 301.9. Then it went down to 297, 299, 298, 295, 291, 288, 290, 288, 284. Pretty stable. Once it's got those first couple of shots out. Bear in mind that was a full mag of green gas, but on a hot day, that's a problem. What do you reckon, guys? If your job's worth doing, it's worth doing right, innit? Let's. I'm going to go in. I'm going to cut a little bit more off. I'm not going to bother putting it to camera. I'm not going to waste your time with that. But we're going to come back and we're going to do some more results in a sec. Back again, round 2. So make sure this is. There's a full mag. This is what I'm using, G&G .28s, so I'm just going to hand load a few of them in here. I am really hoping that we get like maybe 280 FPS or something off this. So when I eyeballed the cut, the second cut, it was exactly 1/4. I say exactly, I mean in my terms it was exact. Yeah, so I've taken off 1 1/4 coils, and they're taken off from the end that faces forward, so that it can still slide onto the rocket valve. I think both ends are identical, but I just, you know, keep them how they are. So I figured out why it's not locking back as well. It's got, that's not the stock recoil spring, so that's why it's not looking back. If it was a stock one, I'm sure it would be. So, right, here we go. Chrono set for 2/8. Let's see what we get. Nice. 301, and now straight down to 294, 296, 294, 297, 293, 288, 290, 291, 291, 291. Not great, not terrible. I kind of want to check on the temperature. It's quite warm in here at the moment, so I'm kind of thinking that that might be spot on, because it's still basically coming below what it needs to be. There was one outlier. You often get that right at the start. Yeah, I think I'll probably call it a day there. There you go. Hopefully you guys have found this. You know what? Do I call it a day? I fucking shouldn't, should I? It's just annoying having to go back and do it again. I think maybe another quarter needs to come off. I'll do that now. So I've taken off another quarter. None of them are on my desk. They keep just pinging off, so I'm sure I'm going to find them stuck into my foot at 3 o'clock in the morning or something. But let's give this another go. More 2.8 gram BBs. I really hope this works because I kind of want to go out. So that is the problem with like doing all this kind of stuff live, because no escape. 290, first shot. Hopefully you can see that. Yes, that's what I'm chatting about. Yes, 290, that's what I'm talking. 291, 282, that's good. 280, 279, 276, 272, 272, 270, 271. Yes, mate! You did it! I'm well happy with that. So I couldn't find any tutorials online to show me how much that I need to snip off in order to get that joules down so that we can run like the heavier weight ammo. I reckon he's even going to be able to put 3s in here. He might even be able to get away with that. That's fantastic news. Oh, I'm really happy for my mate. Yeah, awesome stuff. So there you go, guys. So I ended up basically cutting off 1.5 coils is what I took off. You can see I was getting a bit frustrated, and I really did have my question marks whether to go in. I'm glad that I did. Like, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. I know now that if he leaves it like this, I mean, it's like, what, 20 degrees, 18 to 20 degrees today. In the house, it's probably a bit more like 22, 23. But I know that even on a warmer day, this gun is going to be site legal for him to take everywhere. And he's going to be able to run 2.8s. We're not worried about Joule Creep because we've tested on the weight of ammo that we're going to be using. I've tested on green gas, so should he have any trouble, he's got 2 options. He can step down to a 0.25 gram BB, or he can change his gas, and both of those are going to knock the joules down. Yeah, this is going to be so much fun for him to use now, especially with the upgraded barrel. I'm really intrigued to see now how this gun performs. But yeah, hopefully you guys have found this really useful. If you haven't already and you've only just found my channel, then why not subscribe, and you'll get notified of all the upcoming videos like this. And you know what? When I get to, I still spoke to my other friend, someone else who's got a completely internally bone stock MWS, and I'm going to do the live testing showing that there is actually more Joule Creep on your MWS than there is on your AKM, like assuming you have TM ones. And obviously, I mean, I think that that's to do with like the barrel length. I'm sure someone could correct me, but I mean, whatever. Anyway, look guys, I'm waffling on. Have a great evening or a great weekend, whatever you're up to. And yeah, take care.